Guys, I just got a download. God spoke to me and said, get a grip. But seriously, we're gonna use some reasoning. We're just gonna use, a thought process and get some answers or just to think. So imagine that you're God or you're the being that creates or created this world, earth, and the universe, and you know you're out there creating, and you're creating so many things. You create I mean, you create me, you create yourself, and here you are having to have conversations with humans about what are some of the things that people talk about on here. So the last post, this girl said God spoke to her about Jay-Z, or the one before that, God spoke to her about America crumbling. And I'm going to speak on that one in another series or in another post. Let's use our reasoning to think about God speaking to us. So you have this almighty being, right? And he comes and he speaks to, I'm going to say speaks to me or speaks to you. But why would he want to speak to me? Like, he created this earth, he created everything we need, he created the collective unconscious, he created so many things that we could utilize as tools, but yet still he has to come to me to speak to me about things. Like, why? One, if you're into science, then you hear the talks about atomic energy and the energy of the sun and how powerful that is. So I want to think like God is even more powerful than the earth. God is even more powerful than the sun, because he created these things. So he would necessarily have to be right to create it, or she created these things, so they would have to be more powerful to create those things. So imagine the amount of energy, right? If God came down and spoke to me, that it would have to encompass. Or imagine if he did speak to me, like, is he going to speak in English? Is he going to speak in Arabic? Like, what is he going to speak in? Like, if he speaks to me, am I going to understand? But our consciousness or our subconscious really speaks to us in symbols. So maybe he'll speak to us in symbols, but why would he or she, right? And I'm sorry if I'm saying he, because we are still in a patriarchal society and we're gonna say he. So I'm gonna say he sometimes. Does it really matter to me? Not necessarily. Do I try to honor the feminine, female part of myself? Yes. But, I could say he because there's also a part of me. But imagine the amount of energy that it would take for the God to speak to me. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but I hope you catch my drift, right? It would just be like atomic energy that will come into my being and just splatter me for God to talk to me. I don't think God is talking to us. I don't think that they have any reason to, or I just don't see it and I don't think it. But what I do think astrologically, to explain God talking to you, that will be Uranus. That's the download. That's air energy that's getting downloaded into your system. That's the collective unconscious maybe getting downloaded into your system. And the person that thinks that they are so special, because then if God is talking to you, why doesn't he just talk to everybody? And I think that they're so special and that God is only talking to them. Those are the divine child. Those are the divine children, or the divine child. That's Leo. That's someone, to me personally, if I'm going to use my reasoning, is to say that maybe it was someone that was neglected and they have to take up this special role and say, God is talking to me. They're getting maybe these downloads or this information, and they have to put on this thing, this performance, to say that I'm special, because maybe they were never treated as such, but internally they feel that they're special, so they create this thing. Because remember, Leos are the performers, so they put on this performance. God is talking to me. He comes down and he speaks to me. Why doesn't he just broadcast it? He's so powerful. But again, I think you could get a lot of answers. Like I said, it's the Uranus in all of us. So if you ask, or the Gemini or the Mercury, ask and you shall receive, right? So if you ask a question to yourself, you're eventually going to get an answer. So it's like stuff like this, like, so you can ask yourself, does God speak to me? Does God speak to us? See if you get an answer, or maybe he'll speak to you. But we have all these, if you're into astrology, then you realize we have all these different parts of our psyche, and one part is Uranus that sends us pretty much information, and usually that's information, electrifying information out of Nowhere is not information that we gather ourselves. Like Mercury is just information that just comes to us. And so I believe that's what some of these people are experiencing. They're experiencing information or getting information from a part of their own psyche. I hope that makes sense.